I used to think Jason was the one. We met in our sophomore year, and from the start, he had this charm about him that made me feel special, like I was the only girl in the world who mattered. He was that perfect blend of sweet and mysterious. We'd spend weekends curled up watching movies in his dorm, late-night talks about life and love, and spontaneous road trips that made me feel like we were living in some kind of romantic movie. For months, I thought we were perfect together. Then, the cracks started to show. At first, it was little things. He'd cancel plans at the last minute, always too busy with work. Or he'd disappear for hours without responding to my texts. I brushed it off at first, maybe he was just going through something, right? But I couldn't ignore the growing sense that something wasn't adding up. So one night, when he left his phone on my bed while he was in the shower, I did something I never thought I would. I picked it up. And what I saw destroyed everything. There were 3 names. 3 sets of messages. Anna, Sophia, and Ben. Each of them had their own set of sweet nothings and promises. My stomach dropped as I scrolled through the texts, pictures, and flirtations. But what shocked me the most was that he was also seeing a guy, Ben. I didn't say a word to him that night. I couldn't. I wasn't sure if I wanted to scream or just disappear. But I wasn't going to confront him just yet. Not without knowing the full story. I reached out to Anna, Sophia, and Ben separately. We met up, one by one. The meetings with Anna, Sophia, and Ben were nothing like I'd expected. I thought I'd go in, get some answers, and move on. But instead, I found myself sinking deeper into a mess of emotions I hadn't anticipated. Anna was the first one I met. She seemed sweet, like the kind of girl who would never hurt anyone. She told me that Jason had promised her the world, just like he had promised me. She was devastated when I told her I had found out about our connection. Her eyes filled with anger, betrayal, but also an unmistakable sense of competition. As we exchanged stories, it became clear that Jason had been playing us both, convincing Anna that I was just a phase, and vice versa. But it wasn't just her sadness that overwhelmed me, it was the raw fury in her voice when she spoke about him. It was like we both realized we were fighting over a ghost. I thought I was special to him, Anna said, her voice breaking, but I guess I was just another option, wasn't I? I couldn't find the words to respond. I didn't know if I was angry at Jason or myself. But the pit in my stomach kept growing deeper. The second meeting was with Sophia. Sophia was different. She didn't seem as emotional or vulnerable as Anna. Instead, she was sharp, cold. When I told her I knew about the texts, she laughed. "Of course you do," she said with a sneer. "He's been juggling us for months. It's not a secret. Don't you get it? We were all just options." She seemed to relish the power she had, the satisfaction of being in on a secret everyone else had missed. I thought she'd be the one to understand, to bond over the betrayal, but instead, she made me feel small, foolish. "Maybe if you'd been better at your game, you wouldn't be here," she taunted, her smile cruel. "You weren't the only one he was fooling." I clenched my fists. There was no satisfaction in hearing her words. Instead, I felt like I was losing something bigger, my sense of self-respect, my ability to see clearly. Jason had used us all, twisted us into believing we meant more than we did. The final meeting was with Ben, and this was the one that took me completely off guard. When I sat across from him in the dimly lit coffee shop, I was expecting a guy who was just as confused and hurt as Anna and I were. But Ben had none of that. He was calm, collected, and almost too comfortable with the situation. "I didn't know about you," he said, taking a sip of his coffee, his tone surprisingly casual. "I mean, I figured he was seeing other people, but I didn't think it'd be you." I froze, staring at him. How could he be so detached, so calm about this entire thing? "You don't mind?" I asked, my voice shaking with a mix of disbelief and anger. Ben looked at me like I was the one being irrational. "It's just the way he is. You should have known. He's always been about the chase, about keeping things interesting." "You think you're the only one?" The word stung more than anything Anna or Sophia had said. But they also made something inside me snap. I couldn't keep playing his game, couldn't let myself keep sinking lower into this mess. I knew that I was done. But the chaos didn't end there. Word of the secret relationship spread through the school like wildfire. It didn't take long for other students to catch wind of the drama, and soon, Jason's carefully constructed image started to crack. He'd always been the golden boy, the charming, popular guy everyone wanted to be around. But now, his facade was crumbling under the weight of his lies. People who had once adored him began whispering in hallways. Some were angry, others were simply shocked. It wasn't just about the fact that he had been cheating, it was that he had done it so carelessly, so openly. The truth about his relationships with Anna, Sophia, Ben, and me came to light in ways no one could have anticipated. Gossip spread, and Jason became the target of ridicule and contempt. What was once his charm, his ability to make people feel special, became the very thing that had betrayed everyone. Then came the official school response. It started with rumors of an investigation. Jason had always been careful to cover his tracks, but his actions had left a trail that couldn't be erased. Students who had once been enamored with him were now raising concerns. Teachers, too, started to ask questions. What had started as a messy love triangle quickly became something much bigger. The administration couldn't ignore the outcry, and soon Jason was called into a meeting with school officials. It wasn't long before rumors of him being expelled began to circulate. In the meantime, Anna, Sophia, Ben, and I found ourselves on opposite sides, each of us grappling with the aftermath of everything that had happened. But there was no peace between us. Instead, we fought, arguments over who had the right to be the most hurt, who had the right to claim they were Jason's real love. It wasn't about him anymore, it was about our broken pride, our damaged egos. But in the end, I couldn't help but feel some strange sense of relief. For all the pain he caused, for all the mess he left behind, I knew I was better off without him. No one deserved to be treated like that. Not Anna. Not Sophia. Not Ben. And certainly not me. Jason was no longer the charming, mysterious guy I thought I loved. He was just a liar, a boy who had played with all of our hearts. And that was something I could never forget.